I had that mask on, I was two Pauls. So I was the public Paul, which had the mask on, and I was a big, strong guy, and then I was the devastation Paul, who would be in his room with the covers over his head, and I don't know at that point if I wanted to die, but I definitely didn't want to live. Yeah, so my name is Paul Rosen. I'm a professional motivational speaker and three-time Paralympian. Yeah, well, I started playing when I was 5, but when I really knew I had a talent, I was probably about 12. I was a good goal scorer. I was fairly big for my age, and that's when I knew that I had the opportunity to do something at a level that not a lot of people have an opportunity to do. When I get injured, it's usually a 1 in a million injury. I was 15 years old, and I was playing in a game. I caught a rut in the ice and ended up breaking my leg pretty bad. My dreams were over. I'm 15 years old. Imagine that. You're done. Schooling was nothing ever that I looked forward to. So I remember having issues, mental health issues, from the time I was like 12, 13 years old. The coaching really started to take off in 1997 when I was 37 years old. I had an opportunity to be involved in the Israeli ice hockey program. So I went on the ice and I started to skate and work with the players when I shouldn't have. That started to weaken and abuse the knee, and that's when the knee broke again and I needed a knee replacement at 37 years old. That ended up starting a spiral till I ended up having my leg amputated. Now, I didn't realize at that time, I thought that was it. My life was terrible. I didn't realize until, like now sitting here in front of you, 20-something years later, that it was actually the best thing that ever happened to me. Yeah, playing sledge hockey had nothing to do with me. I had an opportunity to go to a place called Variety Village. There was a young boy in there, Shane Smith, 12 years old, triple amputee. He told me about sled hockey. And I fell in love with the game, and 6 months later, I'm getting ready to compete in Salt Lake City. We went into this game with no chance to win, but we ended up beating Norway 3-0. Like I said, it was the first shutout in Canadian history. When the medal was put on me, at that second, I felt everything that I had in my life, everything that I'd gone through in 46 years, the highs and the lows, the people telling me I was worthless, I couldn't accomplish anything. Every negative story in my life flashed back into my head with this gold medal that only 15 people in the world had. I put it to my heart, and I'll try not to get emotional here. Yeah, I put it to my heart, and I thought of my dad, right? And him telling me that in 1975 that I was going to do something incredible with my life, and here I am now in 2006, lost my leg, was told I could never accomplish anything in my life, was a loser, and I have a gold medal and a shutout in the Olympic Games with thousands of people watching live and millions of people watching on TV. Yeah, it's pretty special. Yeah, I started abusing opiates at first when I had my first injury. So when I started training at the level I had to train at, I was miserable. Like on the ice and in the gym, everybody thought I was, I was the happiest guy in the world. But when I started to then realize that my body was breaking down, that's when my abuse started to really pick up. So maybe when I was a teenager taking 5 or 6 pills a day, to being in my 20s taking maybe 10 a day, now to in my 40s training at a world-class level taking 30 a day. Yeah, the times in Queens Quay was probably the darkest times of my life, because it was a time where I'd get myself prepared, I'd get dressed, I'd go do my event, I'd get a standing ovation, and then on my way home, I would start with the self-hating, and I lived a very dark life for many years until I decided I couldn't do it anymore. What I did that day, I never thought of my kids or my family and how hard that was going to be on them. It was about 10 o'clock at night, and that's when I knew that I'd had enough. I couldn't live with the pain anymore. I ended up writing notes for the people that I love. I ended up having 35 oxys left, and I put them in 3 piles. I had 10, 10, and 15. I took all 3, figuring 35 oxys should kill me easy. And about 45 minutes later, I'm still alive. And I'm wondering what's going on. Why am I still alive? So at that point, I started to panic, and I looked around. I had no more pills left. I found a huge bottle of Windex, and I saw it said poison, and I drank the entire bottle. I got so sick, violently ill, that I threw up enough of the pills that when the paramedics came, everything was available for them to save me. And then I started my recovery. That's the last mask I ever wore. A lot of personal stuff on the back of it, little things for my family and initials and that. My oldest daughter, she got me into a program in York Region Addiction Services, and that's where I met my addiction doctor, Dr. Kerry, who made me understand there was no shame in what I did, and that was critical. And then everybody I saw from that point on, my whole team, taught me my strengths. Then I slowly started getting back on track, and in April, just a few months later, I had an opportunity to go to Ostrava in the Czech Republic and call the World Championships for sled. I called 20 games in 6 days. And from then, I just started slowly getting better, losing weight, getting back in shape, and then ultimately, I want to be known as Paul Rosen, a guy who mental health almost took him to the graveyard. And instead of that, he's climbed out and he's getting himself back to the top of the mountain. I lived for a reason, and I lived for the reason of helping others. Matters into my own hands. I never went to dental school, but a lot of dentists were very impressed with this. I took a pair of vice grips, and I pulled this tooth out clean. It's actually a pretty good clean. It's a good tooth. I pulled it out clean, still got the filling on it, and almost instantly I felt better. Ended up playing the next day and shut the Czech Republic out. Yeah, it's a pretty clean pull.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It looks like how you would see it in a TV show.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It came out pretty easy too.